And welcome back to another episode of the Perfectly Me podcast. I am your host, TJ Percell, Mr. Percell, People's Champ, Percell PCP, the concierge service, your favorite teacher's favorite teacher, your favorite person's favorite person. Um, anyway, I just wanted to come on here this week, like last week. This is not going to be a very long episode of the pod, so yay. If you got about 10 minutes, just listen in. I do have some updates that I want to share on this podcast. First and foremost, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe wherever all of your podcasts are being served. Check out the tutoring website, t3power.com. Check out the main percellproject.com. Be sure to buy some books. And with that being said, hopefully you listened to the last 4 weeks while I kind of went through my 4-part series on your best you. Go ahead, check that out, listen to that. What I want to talk about now is it's something that's important. It's something that some people don't think they can do. And so much so that there's an acronym created from this. If any of you have ever heard of FOMO, the fear of missing out. See, some people have to immerse themselves in everything to feel like they are a part of something. They have to, oh my gosh, if I'm not involved in this, then people will forget, people will not pay attention. I'm going to miss out on potentially something that's going to happen. And a lot of people stretch themselves thin, so to speak. They hard day at work, hard 10-hour day at work. Some people are going out. It's like, oh crap, well, I guess I got to go out, knowing that you don't want to. I've been a problem of that at some points. Because there's this whole notion, especially now in this post-COVID content creation things, where people have to okay, well, I have to be visible in order so people will remember what I do. That's one of the first things they teach you about marketing is you have to make your products visible to customers so that they'll want to buy it, which is fair. But then, as you know, I am a wrestling fan, as you've seen with the 5 podcasts I've had about wrestling. But one of the things that is it kind of goes against that FOMO, so to speak. It's the art of the special attraction, the art of like a Brock Lesnar who only shows up to work a couple of days a year, but when he does, it is presented like a big deal. Kind of the contract that Roman Reigns is doing right now. He doesn't wrestle a lot, but when he does, it's presented as a big deal. The Undertaker, as he got older, he would not wrestle a lot, but once the Undertaker laced up those boots at WrestleMania, it was treated like a big deal. And so trying to take that and trying to apply that notion into my daily life, and this is just me talking personal for me here. I know last week I said I was going to have a new series starting this week, but after kind of sitting back, after kind of thinking, after reevaluating, especially going through some of those damning numbers that I shared last week, 7 people buying book A, 5 people listening to podcast B, shout out NK, love you. There's a lot of time invested in creating content for the people. And so what I've decided with this, no, I am not stopping the podcast. No, I am not stopping the Percell project. I am the Percell Project. My wife is the Percell Project. Every day we live out the mantra of what we wish to accomplish in the Percell Project. So no, I'm not doing that. But what I am doing is I am going to be taking a social hiatus for two reasons. One, you don't always have to share every bit of business on social media like people do. You know, the one of the things I think I mentioned in the podcast, one of the previous ones, people go on Facebook and they share all the good stuff, but then they don't share the bad stuff as well. And so people go, they share, oh, I did this. And every good thing they share to give people a facade that everything's going great. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're considering breakups, they're considering doing other bad things. And that's not a realistic view of what's going on. And so, with literal social distancing, you can still be a part of stuff and you can focus that energy towards your dartboard instead of trying to grasp a bigger audience. And I say that because you don't necessarily have to share everything on social media if it's good to you. Like, for example, I'm sure, well, I know this for sure. There's very few of you who know that I got a fifth tattoo. There's even probably less of you that know that I just got a newer car, not a new car, a newer car. Um, and you wouldn't know because I didn't post pictures on Facebook about it. I didn't, want to put that out there, not necessarily because it's bad or I want to limit it. I just, in the art of social distancing, you don't have to share everything. That way, when you see people, you can actually have a healthy conversation about things that's happened to you and for you instead of, hey, hey, what's been going on? Well, I saw your social media. Okay. So what else has been going on? Uh, well, didn't you see my social media? And it just gets repetitive and awkward. And so I like to leave like that open part of conversation. So number one reason why the Perfectly Me podcast brought to you by the Percell Project will be taking a break is because it's gonna give a chance for breath. It's gonna give a chance for me to breathe. It's gonna give a chance for all six of you who listen, maybe three of you that listen to this one. It'll give you a chance to kind of just breathe and social distance. And the second reason why the Purcell Project is taking a hiatus from the Perfectly Me podcast is just to let you know that there will be a second season of this and kind of not necessarily build up anticipation, but letting you know that the next time you hear the consistency of the podcast, I plan to be better. I plan to iron out some errors, some mistakes that I make. I plan to streamline this, try to make them a little bit shorter as possible for you guys. Obviously, since guests are what drive some of you instead of this beautiful face and this great voice here. So I will try to find some more guests, find topics that that can just kind of reach a different array of people. But I want to take that break so that I can spend some focus on some other things. There has been a pretty busy last couple of months outside of content creation with this. And so I want to give that focus. I want to make sure I focus that correctly. I want to make sure I give all the energy that's demanded of my newfound responsibilities. I want to make sure that I do that correct. Those things pay, this does not. So, with that being said, the Perfectly Me podcast will be doing a bit of social distancing from content creation with you guys. There will be for the foreseeable future, I'd say the next couple months, probably up until August, I would say. There won't be a weekly Perfectly Me podcast. This will give you plenty of time to go back to the archives, listen on stream, listen again, get some of those numbers up so I can feel better about myself. This will give you a chance to kind of catch up on what I've already talked about before. And it'll kind of give you a chance to know that when I do come back, it will be, it will be new and improved, which is oxymoron. Can't be new, can't be improved. But just give you something to look forward to. Now, what I will say, and I do know this for sure, is that even though my weekly Perfectly Me podcast will not recur again until August, I do have one wrestling focused related podcast that I will do probably. Actually, that is towards the beginning of August. So that might be the first one I come back with. We might have one before then, just kind of a road to SummerSlam. Ray and Lou, we've kind of been talking, and we had so much fun doing the WrestleMania 2-part podcast that we wanted to do another one for the summer. Some big things have been happening, and we kind of want to talk about it. So I will say there will be a random Perfectly Me podcast episode here probably the next couple of weeks, but outside of that, nothing regular until August. This is your chance to catch up. This is my chance to socially distance from content creating. Still here. Percell Project still living. Percell Project is still out there, leaving our mark upon the world. So with that being said, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for that one. Leave comments below on if there's any topics that I have not touched on that you would like to hear either my take on, you would like to hear, you would like for me to tackle. If there are some music you'd like for me to do, 12 Bar Tuesday, anything of that nature, to give the people what they want. Go ahead and leave those in the comments. Leave that in my email. Leave that if you have my number. Leave that with message me, call me. And with that being said, that was right around where I wanted it to be. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to we'll call this the season finale of season 1 of the Perfectly Me podcast. We will see you all soon. Listen, enjoy, share. Thank you.